All right, so I'm not exactly sure what it is that I'm doing here, but I guess the goal is to kind of log what it is that I'm doing. I've been kind of in and out of this cycle my entire life of just like living a life that I don't really want to live, Um, kind of acquiring knowledge and getting excited by things and getting to a point where I kind of feel like this bit of optimism or this bit of hope, like I'll read a self-help book or something, or I'll find like a really good podcast or inspirational documentary or whatever, or come upon a subject that I'm really passionate about, and I'll think, yeah, I can. This is something I could get excited about. This is something that could put a spark in my life and kind of give me this feeling of fulfillment that we're all searching for. And whether that fulfillment comes from, whether that fulfillment, following that, new idea or whatever it is that makes me excited is a way of financing my life, a way of, you know, monetizing it so that I can take care of myself. Or if it's just, continuing to work at my dead end job, but finding a way to make what little money I make work for me, as far as life and taking care of my family, my wife and my son, myself, but then finding this sense of fulfillment in something else, even if it isn't what takes care of me. But I constantly end up in this rut. It's like I get excited and I start working towards it, and life just knocks me over the head. And I always end up falling into some kind of deep depression, and I don't know if that depression is neurological. I don't think it's neurological because typically it has a lot to do with the kind of shitty conditions of my life. But at the same time, I can take responsibility and say that I put myself in those shitty conditions, and whether it's putting myself in those conditions by relationships that I have, or by just bad decisions I make, addiction, bad money spending, bad decisions, laziness. I don't really know, I don't know what it is, but I recognize this cycle, and I just want it to change, like I want to get to that feeling of motivation and be able to follow it through, like follow it through and accomplish something. And I've been at points in my life where I was like kind of following through on something, doing really well in school, physical fitness, kind of on point. But even then, I feel like I was giving it 90%, and not 100%. Or even if I was giving it, that 90%, which might be enough to make it, um, there were other things going on in my life, dealing with certain people or whatever that I allowed myself to feel. You know what I mean? And I feel like done with that. I've gotten so depressed in the, not so distant past where it was like, man, like, do I even want to live? It's like, how can I even continue to go on in this life? Which is like, saying it out loud right now just feels weak, but that's where I was. I don't think I could ever get to a point of ever actually like trying to hurt myself. Really, I have a son that I love, and whenever I get that low, I just think of his face, like hearing that news. You know what I mean? Like, oh, your dad's not here anymore. And that's always enough to make me be like, screw that. That's not gonna happen. I get to that point, and I'm like, man, I would rather just like I got so low, I'd be like, man, I would just leave and abandon everybody and get like a fast food job and save all the money and just send it to my son. You know what I mean? Like so that even if like I can't, life is too much for me to live, like at least I could become just a battery, that just like generates at least the smallest amount of income or anything that I can give to him. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense. But basically, I don't think that I could ever hurt myself, but I seriously get that low, where it's like the idea of living is just painful. I can't think of like anything to be passionate about or like any kind of sense of like of hope. Um, at this point in my life, like I feel really low as far as like my financial situation. You know, I have a job. I have two jobs actually. Probably make, I don't know, taking about like $3,000 a month, but it's like that is not even enough. You know, it's like you can't. I live in California, and it's just that's like not enough for like housing and car, whatever. If it is, I don't know how to manage it. You know, I don't know. But I live with my mother-in-law um, in a place that really like the conditions are not all that. I won't go into like you know, talking about it as a way because it might come off as negative. Where I'm actually extremely grateful for the opportunity and living space that my mother-in-law has provided for us. But it's not ideal in any way. You know, especially for like someone who wants to view himself as a man. You know, it's just not. It's not where I want to be for sure. It's not where anybody would want to be really. Um, Constantly like struggling with money and thinking about money and when things do feel like it could get better, just making fucked up decisions. I'm sorry, making messed up decisions. And basically, the point of this is that I feel like at the very least I can log um, my efforts. You know, like log what it is that I'm doing. Like set a goal. I can't even set a goal right now because I don't know like what that goal would look like. But I do know I've taken enough information about like just self help that I feel like I have at least somewhere to start, and I feel like I could come up with a list of things that could make my life better today, in small ways, or at least put my brain and my body and my soul in a better place to where maybe one day I could see setting a goal, or I could at least kind of fathom what a good life would be like. And that's going to be through like healthy eating, physical training, that's for the body, for the mind, podcast, audiobooks, um, taking in information, working out the mind, and also like maybe like meditation or yoga, like, and that would be a soul thing, right? Or maybe like church or something. I don't know. Um, so yeah, so what I'm gonna work on and record those efforts, at least check in. You know, my goal is once a day. Check in once a day, even if it's for a minute or two, just to go over what it is I've been doing and just log it, so even if I fail again and I end up back in that depressed place where it's like I feel like I want to die, I could go back over and watch those videos and be like, hey, this is where you messed up. You know what I mean? Or this isn't where you're trying hard enough, And, even if I fail, 15, 20 more times, 100 more times, at least I'll have some kind of like video evidence of it so that I can go back and learn from those mistakes. So that's what this is right now. I'll check back in tomorrow with like a more thorough list of what it is that I can do to improve myself right now, today. Even in small ways, 1% better, or whatever. That's I heard that on like a podcast or something, whatever. But I liked it 1% better. And yeah, that's about it.